On March 15, 2013, the Dating police station in Sanchong District, New Taipei City, Taiwan, received an anonymous letter that read, "The remains of Chen Yuanding are in the men's restroom, 200 meters from the Shuishang Farmers Association in Chiayi. Please bury her properly. I don't have the money to do it." The contents of the letter raised suspicion among police officers, but they still quickly passed the information to the Shuishang police station, 250 kilometers away, to coordinate the investigation. That evening, police officers in Shuishang organized a search and discovered a white plastic bag placed on top of a water tank inside a public restroom behind Zhuantusu Tiangong Temple. However, the bag was light and small, not something that seemed to contain a human body. Even so, the police cautiously opened it to inspect. Inside, the contents were wrapped in 7 tightly knotted plastic layers. A strong stench immediately filled the air, making everyone uneasy. When they reached the final layer, they discovered a round object completely covered with 2 centimeters thick white salt. After removing the salt, they found a shriveled head that had been neatly severed. Inside the bag, there was also a note that read, "Name, Shin Yuanding Senchong." You're watching our channel where we explore the most mysterious cases and the most intriguing stories. As always, before we start unraveling today's mystery, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much. The police searched the missing persons database and found that 64 people named Shen Yuanding had been reported missing throughout Taiwan. After comparing records, they confirmed the victim was a 35-year-old woman who lived near the Dayton police station and had been reported missing by her mother on December 17th of the previous year. The victim's mother, Ms. Kiu Yume, was quickly brought in to identify the remains. At first, she didn't admit the victim was her daughter. However, she broke down in tears and covered her face, and DNA test results confirmed that the victim was indeed her biological child. At the same time, police summoned 2 taxi drivers related to the case to clarify the situation. The victim was identified as Chen Yuanding, born in 1978, and residing in Sanchong. Chen Yuanding was once a lively, adorable girl loved by her neighbors. In high school, she even became the school beauty, attracting attention from many. An advertising company even invited her to appear in a commercial. However, her life took a turn when she began associating with bad friends. She skipped school, lived a wild lifestyle, and dropped out before finishing junior high. She later got married and gave birth at 18, then moved elsewhere to live. But in 2000, she returned to Sanchong, often wearing pajamas, wearing heavy makeup, and wandering the streets begging for food. It turned out that after her husband cheated on her, she couldn't handle the shock and once tried to end her life but was rescued in time. Since then, she suffered from mental disorders, lost the ability to care for herself, and was unable to work. Chen Yuanding moved in with her second brother, Shun Jiafu, a chef at a buffet restaurant in Sanchong, who was unmarried. Meanwhile, their mother and other siblings had moved to Keelung. Each week, their mother would take a bus to visit the siblings. Although Chen Yuanding received 8,200 new Taiwan dollars per month in low-income and mental health support benefits, her mother worried she couldn't manage money properly. So she instructed Jiafu to give her only 150 new Taiwan dollars to 200 new Taiwan dollars per day. However, Shen Yuanding was heavily addicted to smoking. At times, she crossed personal boundaries with taxi drivers to earn 500 new Taiwan dollars per encounter. Due to her complicated lifestyle, DNA from multiple men was found on her underwear. After investigation, police ruled out the involvement of the 2 suspected taxi drivers. After confirming the victim's identity and residence, the police began reviewing surveillance cameras around where she lived and where the head was found. However, since the head had been preserved in salt, The time of death could not be determined. Chen Yuanding had been reported missing since December 17th, but her remains weren't found until March 15th. This forced police to review 3 months worth of footage, requiring significant manpower and time. Just when the case hit a dead end, a cleaning worker offered a key clue. She regularly cleaned the public toilets behind Zhuangtu Temple every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. On March 13th, she noticed nothing unusual, but by the 15th, one stall was locked from the inside, so she skipped it. With this tip, the police focused on reviewing footage from March 13th to 15th and found key evidence. They also arrested Chen Jiafu for investigation, as he lived with Chen Yuanding. Surveillance near the temple captured footage at 11 a.m. on March 13th, showing a man in a thick padded jacket, wearing a wig, sunglasses, and a mask, carrying a white plastic bag toward the restroom. With temperatures in Chiayi reaching 27 degrees Celsius in March, his unusual outfit drew attention. When police showed the footage to the family, Chen Jiafu's mother, Qiu Yumei, confirmed that the man in the video was her son. Police also discovered that Chen Jiafu had taken time off work on March 12th and 13th. On that day, his phone signal kept turning off and on, likely to obscure his movements. Nonetheless, signal pings were recorded in areas such as Taikang, Yunlin, Shanghou, and Hsinchu. Even more suspicious was the fact that, despite being frugal and seemingly indifferent to his sister, Chen Jiafu was paying nearly 10,000 new Taiwan dollars monthly for her life insurance, even though his salary was only about 34,000 new Taiwan dollars. After Chen Yuanding disappeared, Chen Jiafu quickly married a woman from Fujian named Lu Miao Miao and brought her to live in Taiwan. However, she returned to Fujian on March 6th, raising further suspicion. Most importantly, the handwriting on the anonymous letter matched Chen Jiafu's. He was quickly arrested. Lu Miao was also summoned for questioning. Upon arrest, Chen Jiafu had to be supported by officers because he couldn't stand steadily. During the interrogation, he pretended to be mentally unstable, gave vague answers, and even presented a certificate claiming psychological illness to avoid responsibility. At that time, Chen Yuanding's body still hadn't been found. The police split into 2 teams. One investigated Chen Jiafu's background, and the other searched his residence in Sanchong. Through investigation, they discovered that Chen Jiafu had an unstable career. In 2003, he took an insurance training course and earned a license, but he was dismissed for not meeting sales targets. From 2008, he switched to working as a buffet chef, but none of the jobs lasted more than a few months. In 2009, he tried to start a business but failed shortly after. While working at a restaurant, he met a co-worker named Yu Mei Song. In October 2011, Yu Mei Song introduced her close friend Lu Miao Miao to Chen Jiafu. By December, he traveled to Fujian to meet Lu Miao, and they fell in love at first sight. After returning to Taiwan, they stayed in touch by phone. It was also around this time that Chen Jiafu began planning his cruel scheme. He purchased multiple life insurance policies for his sister Chen Yuanding, using the knowledge he had gained from insurance training. Chen Jiafu knew that individuals with a history of mental illness couldn't buy insurance, so he concealed her medical records. He successfully obtained 5 policies totaling 6 million TWD. However, the monthly premiums were steep, about 10,000 TWD, which exceeded his financial capacity. Seeing that his sister received a monthly subsidy of 8,200 TWD, he began thinking about how to claim it for himself. In December 2011, he started visiting hospitals for psychological evaluations and claimed he had suffered from mental illness since 1999. He hid his job as a chef and said he only worked part-time handing out flyers. Chen Jiafu claimed he felt constantly depressed and detached. After repeated visits and pressure, Doctors diagnosed him with schizophrenia in March 2012 and approved him for disability support. Still, he wasn't satisfied. In 2013, he applied for low-income support but was denied. He then caused a disturbance at the office, demanding to know why his sister received support, but he didn't. Although he couldn't afford it, he kept borrowing money to prepare for his wedding with Lu Miu Miu. The required bride price was 260,000 TWD, plus jewelry and gold. Lacking the funds, he borrowed from Liu Miao's family and mortgaged his house to get another 350,000 TWD. The police had no choice but to expand their investigation and search his home in Sanchong. Neighbors reported that on December 10th, dirty water and strange debris overflowed from Qin Jiefu's pipes, along with loud noises from the ceiling. When confronted, Chen Jiafu refused to open the door, leaving neighbors to clean up the odd floating debris themselves. However, the water problem continued, prompting a frustrated neighbor to report it to the police. Only then did Chen Jiafu open the door and claimed he wasn't the cause, but offered to help clean up. This raised suspicions that Tran had attempted to dispose of evidence through the drainage system, but was forced to stop when neighbors caught on. The neighbors' chatter added to the suspicion. Some said they had seen red water like blood flowing from the ground floor, while others claimed to have smelled a foul odor from the emergency stairwell. Police decided to seal off the scene and deployed a forensic team along with sniffer dogs to search the premises. They dismantled the drainage system, emptied the septic tank, and meticulously examined every detail in search of traces of blood or bone. In the kitchen, Chen Yuanding's DNA was discovered inside the drainage pipes. Apart from that, there were no other signs. The sniffer dogs detected blood presence in a wardrobe located in Chen Yuanding's bedroom, particularly beneath the floor and on the inner surfaces. However, the most crucial piece of evidence was the discovery of her DNA in an orange plastic bucket and an electric cooker inside Jian Jiefu's house. In addition, the police found potential weapons, cleavers and blades from a meat grinder hidden in a drawer. Once these key pieces of evidence were collected, prosecutors immediately issued a warrant to arrest Chen Jiafu. He confessed that at 6 a.m. on December 9th, he was woken up by one of Chen Yuanding's clients. Financial stress, combined with resentment toward his sister's lifestyle, pushed him over the edge. That afternoon, their mother, Qiu Yume, was scheduled to visit them at Tamzong. As usual, she would return to Gaolong afterward and wouldn't come back for at least 2 or 3 days. Recognizing the opportunity, Chen Jiafu decided to take action that evening. That night, after their mother left, and while Chen Yuanding was still unconscious but not yet deceased, Chen Jiafu used a knife to handle her head. He then applied salt for preservation and stored it in the freezer to prevent odor. On the morning of December 10th, he attempted to dismember the rest of the body, but stopped for fear of drawing attention. By the evening of December 12th, at around 9:30 p.m., he called his mother to report that Chen Yuanding had been missing for 2 days and urged her to contact the police. However, because Chen Yuanding often wandered off and didn't return home, Qiu Yume wasn't too concerned. It wasn't until December 17th that she finally filed a police report. Lu Miaomiao arrived in Taiwan on December 30th and was surprised not to see her sister-in-law. However, after a vague explanation from Chen Jiafu, she didn't dwell on it. Other than Qiu Yume, no one else inquired about Chen Yuanding. No one suspected anything. Chen Jiafu believed that after disposing of Chen Yuanding, he would soon receive a large insurance payout. But by March 1st, insurance bills kept arriving and he still had to pay the premiums. He called the insurance agent for clarification, but avoided revealing that Chen Yuanding had passed away. After some back and forth, the agent finally understood and explained, if a person is only reported missing, it takes at least 7 years. to legally declare them dead. Only then would the insurance payout be approved. Chen Jiafu was shocked. He realized that unless Chen Yuanding's absence was discovered, he would be stuck paying insurance premiums for the next 7 years. To make people discover Chen Yuanding's disappearance. On the evening of Sunday, March 10th, Chen Jiafu called his restaurant boss to request 2 days off. March 12th and 13th. He knew there wouldn't be a better opportunity. His wife had returned to Fujian for a funeral, and his mother wouldn't be home during those 2 days either. At 9:19 a.m. on March 11th. In the early morning of March 12th, Chen Jiafu took his sister's head, which had been frozen for over 3 months, put it in a plastic bag, boarded a bus to Chiayi, and left the bag in a public restroom behind a temple. Before leaving, he placed a small note that read, "Name Chen Yuanding, Sanchong." Then, Chen Jiafu sent an anonymous letter to the Datong police station in Sanchong, requesting the police to bury his sister properly. This act was intended to mislead the investigation, making police believe the person who left the remains was someone emotional or remorseful. But unexpectedly, it led the police directly back to his neighborhood. In the end, Chen Jiafu was sentenced to death on 3 charges: premeditated murder, corpse desecration, and insurance fraud. His defense attorney sought a sentence reduction, claiming that Chen Yuanding had mental issues, harassed neighbors, and had even attacked Chen Jiafu with a knife multiple times. However, prosecutors argued that none of these claims had evidence and weren't enough to justify self-defense. Notably, after killing his sister, Chen Jiafu made porridge using parts of her body and continued eating normally. Police found no evidence that he was forced to do this to dispose of the remains. Although there were no signs of mental illness, a psychological evaluation was conducted, which revealed no abnormalities. In court, the mother of the perpetrator, Ms. Qiu Yume, cried and apologized, saying she failed to raise her son properly and couldn't protect her poor daughter. She said, "I'll take the blame for that animal of a son. He's not human. Yuanding, I'm so sorry. I failed you." In the end, Chen Jiafu received the death penalty with no reduction. The case shocked all of Taiwan due to the cold-blooded, calculated cruelty of a brother. Later, the Taiwanese media referred to it as the brother who cooked his sisters. Flesh and porridge, the Sanchong case. You're watching our channel, where we bring you the world's most terrifying and mysterious crime stories. If this story made you shiver, leave a comment below. We have even more shocking cases too. Come, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next video.